February the 13th, 2018, and we have the whole crew back from the original show that many of you have probably never heard. We have Tommy Simmons and the elusive Michael Bragg.
Yo, yo, yo. How's it going?
Good.
What's going on?
There's a lot going on, and we'll see if we can cover everything in an hour. But we wanted to jump out first. Congratulations, Mike. You are the resident Eagles fan, and as I think everyone knows, you guys just won the Super Bowl. What does that mean to you, your city, etc.?
Well, just hearing you say those words, it's hard to believe. When you said it, I was like, wait, what? But it is true. Somehow, some way, finally got it done. It was unbelievable. Just to be in Philly, there at my dad's house with my brother there, my family was there, just watching it. And, of course, anytime Brady's on the field, that thing's never over. So they come back at after halftime, and they come down the field, and Gronkowski's taking over, and we're able to come down and get that late touchdown to earth and take the lead, just praying for a play on defense. They've been going up and down the field all night. And somehow Brandon Graham, with the play that will live in infamy, the strip sack fumble recovered by the rookie Barnett, we couldn't believe it. There was my brother and my dad were just shocked. And as soon as that Hail Mary hit the ground and it was finally over, none of us could believe it. But
did any of you have the urge to go run out and eat horse poop?
Eat what?
Horse poop. You didn't see the guy in Philly eating horse crap?
I heard some stories. I heard about a horse getting punched. But I think that was, I might have been after the NFC title game. No, there was no, of course, there was no alcohol at our place, so that may have played a role in that.
Yeah.
The decision-making process was still functioning. But it was crazy. People up there blowing the horns, driving down the street, waving at each other. Usually the horns blowing, followed by expletives. More of a joyous atmosphere. It was hard to believe.
It seemed to me the media and people gave Philly a bad rap for their celebration, even though I think pretty much every city that wins the championship does pretty much similar things.
Well, anyone that gave Philly a bad rap needs to watch some tape of the Jason Kelsey speech at the parade. I think he's got a message for everybody.
Yeah.
When I went to University of Maryland, we used to set things on fire when we lost.
Well, yeah, that too. And the one thing I didn't hear many people talking about was the rioting that was going on in Boston after they lost.
Absolutely. I mean, God forbid if we lost a basketball game to Duke when I was there. You know, there would be couches set on fire, and so nothing against the Philly fans for celebrating a victory.
There's like 12 people injured and like 9 people arrested in Boston after they lost the Super Bowl. And I didn't hear many people talking about that. And this is a city that's got like 9 major championships since 2001. Can't handle a single loss.
Well, it's
out of control.
It's more like their 4th Super Bowl loss, isn't it, in recent years?
Yeah, they still won 5, and that's the amount of time. Plus, we got 2 World Series for the Red Sox in 2004. The Bruins have won a Stanley Cup, and the Celtics won the NBA title in 2008. And UConn women are winning everything up there.
Yeah. It's not enough. They're spoiled.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. But, you know, the celebrations, anytime you got a drought like that, it's going to be something special. It was unbelievable. Be back up there in the parade. They set it up on the big, they had Titantrons everywhere, and like we got there like 8 in the morning. Parade didn't start till 11. And they showed the whole game again on Titantrons minus the commercials at halftime. And it was just awesome to be surrounded by thousands and thousands of Eagles fans rewatching the moment. It was pretty special. Probably a lot like Chicago went through when the Cubs finally got it done.
Well, I mean, Chicago kind of split between Cubs and White Sox. I think Philly's more unified. And if you're not unified in Philly, you probably get rolled down a set of stairs and your leg broken. Or maybe that's just Chief Osceola.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I mean, even if the Eagles win it again, like somehow in the next couple of years, it won't be as unbelievable as this year. As special as this one is. Washington fans, you're getting close to 30 years, so you probably, next time you win the Super Bowl, you'll probably have the same type of reaction.
Perhaps. Shoot. Forgot where I was going to go with that. Oh, jeez. Capitals and Stanley Cup. That's crazy how it can feel like it's going to happen, and then so quickly it's like, who are these guys? Like, you guys were killing it during the regular season, and now you're just one and done, or two and done, but the first series was a struggle. And
yeah, unfortunately, the Capitals and Stanley Cup has been antonyms the last decade or so.
Yeah, and the Nationals are kind of following in the Capitals' footsteps too. Had a pretty team over the last few years.
Yeah,
another interesting side note. I don't know if you guys have realized this, but since the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the Flyers and the Sixers have not lost a game. They're both 4-0 since the Super Bowl. Just so you know.
Well noted. So, speaking of your Sixers, you wanted to talk about your boy Fultz?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I don't know what is going on with Markelle Fultz, but this is unbelievable. I mean, I think at this point, he's not even playing. He's not playing because of an injury. I think he's literally not playing because he lost a shot. Yeah, Colangelo just said a couple of days ago that his range right now is the paint. I mean, what the heck is that? There's all kinds of rumors going on about somebody messed with his shot. He's got a coach that he's had since high school that he's brought with him. And the Sixers say his shot was fine in the summer league, and everything was good. He dropped like 25 in the summer league game, and he disappeared in August and didn't come back till camp in September. And they noticed it seemed like he was shooting the ball a little different when he got back, and has not been able to find the range since. I don't know if he was working on something. The only thing it looked like that he was working was his free throw, because he shot like 65% from the line at Washington. But he shot 41% from downtown at Washington, and that's was shooting 5 threes a game. And everyone, from the Jay Billises to all the experts were saying he was a three-level scorer, hit the three-point shot, mid-range game, finishing at the basket. Supposed to be the best prospect out there. And now all of a sudden he doesn't have a shot. I mean, where else in Philadelphia did this kind of mess happen? It's ridiculous. If it's not injuries, going all the way back to Andrew Bynum, ridiculous trade with Los Angeles, never plays a game, boot out of his hand, draft Noel, torn ACL, missed his first season. Embiid misses 2 years. Simmons last year breaks his toe, he's out. Colts, number 1 overall, played 2 or 4 games this year. It's just unbelievable. Like we've had some players, and this is just every story tops the last. Now, Colts, last I heard, was cleared medically like December 10th. But a shooting guard, point guard, drafted number 1 overall, range does not extend beyond the paint.
It's interesting because I I haven't really heard much about this story, like nationally. You know, you think they'd be talking about it all over ESPN. It's incredible. He's been cleared since December.
Yeah, I heard Stephen A. bring it up on First Take before. He believes that Lonzo Ball and the whole LeVar Ball thing has shielded them, has taken a lot of the heat off of anyone focusing on Markelle Fultz. That you're just waiting for LeVar to say something else stupid like he just did the other day. And more people have been focusing on Lonzo, not paying attention to Markelle. It's unbelievable. So now they're trying to work and get a shot back, and it's the saying he may not play this year. I mean, just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And if he does come back, what does that say about, like, his mental makeup, where he can just lose his shot for months? You know, like, I don't know if that's the kind of player I want leading my team for the next 10 or 12 years.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense because he shot well. He shot super well, shot from mid-range. But the only issue he had was the free throw shooting. And I don't know if it was this coach he's had since high school that after the summer league ended in August and September or something, trying to redo his shot, he's not owning up to it, saying it wasn't him. He kind of tries to put some of the blame on the team. The team's putting the blame on the team believes it was something that happened after the summer league, and between summer league and when he returned for training camp. But somebody's lying somewhere. But
who would think we'd be sitting here in February talking about him as the point guard in the draft that's having problems shooting the ball?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Lonzo Ball shoots the ball from, like, the other side of his head.
Unbelievable. Yeah, exactly. But now, Fultz might be even uglier than that. You got some taste that got out of Fultz missing air ball shots from like 8 feet. Terrible.
I want more leaked videos. I got to see this.
For a stretch there, like 6 weeks, the Sixers weren't allowing him to be, weren't allowing the press to have any access to him. He was working, they were hiding everything. And somehow somebody got a hold of a couple videos of his hideous release right now. It's unbelievable. Only in Philadelphia this mess would go on. Number one pick. Forget how to shoot the basketball. Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, at least he had a shot at one point. There's a good chance he'll be able to get it back. It's not like he's never had a shot, though.
It's like when Chuck Knobloch was having problems throwing the ball to first base.
Yeah, and hitting Keith Olbermann's mom in the head.
Been in Major League Baseball for 8 years, and all of a sudden he's throwing it over the first baseman's head every time.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. It's crazy. Yeah, so hopefully they can get him back on track. I mean, he's literally like one of the final pieces to the puzzle. If we can get him in, maybe next year.
Do you think him at his best is the piece you need to get to the championship?
Well, the championship is years away. We still got. I mean, Ben Simmons is years away from being his polished product, but Embiid is. We're just hoping, to get a year where he's going to play maybe 70 games for once. So hopefully Embiid can prove that he can last the season in the league. And I think we could be a few years away if he comes back and has his shot within a few years. Some of his talent develops. Maybe add another piece or two. Of course, the rumors of LeBron James are out there. I don't know if I want to do that, but
Philadelphia is really interesting because we've talked at length in some of our previous episodes that the current makeup of the, how many teams actually have a chance of winning a title? I mean, you got Houston, you got Cleveland, you got Golden State. The Philly's kind of interesting because and I'd actually like to see it. They're kind of like homegrown, and they could develop into a big three. You know, they wouldn't have to go out and lack of a better term, like buy a championship with all these free agents and everything. It's kind of interesting that they actually legitimately have a chance to develop into a three-headed monster that's homegrown.
Well, when you lose 240 games in 4 seasons, you better be able to get some talent on the roster.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree there. Plus, Charge, he's very good. So we got a lot of young guys. Charge, we had in overseas playing for a couple of years. He came back. He's getting it done. But yeah, it's been interesting to see. We had helped the whole year with both this year with J.J. Redick and some of these other young guys.
So you definitely don't feel like your team's a win now kind of team though, even though they're the 7th seed.
Oh no, not now. I mean, we could possibly make the playoffs, but if you're going to be a 7th and 8th seed, it's going to be tough to get out of the first round, barring some sort of injury like we had the year Derrick Rose won MVP.
Right.
And tore his ACL, but then we knocked off the 1 seed, and then. But it would take a miracle for us to get out of the first round.
So many things have to happen between now and then. You know, you need health from the players. You need further development from Simmons and Embiid. You need folks to get on the court and be able to not shoot air balls. Probably need a couple veterans. And once you get to that point, you're still going to need some veteran pieces that you're going to have to end up signing in a couple years if you get there. So definitely looking towards the future with those guys. But
yeah, definitely a lot of interesting talent. Simmons seems to be one of these guys, the limit type of players, especially as his outside shot develops in a couple of years. He's got triple-double written all over him. But a couple pieces away and some years of development. Could be interesting to see where we are 2 or 3 years from now.
Right. So, were you gonna say something, Tommy?
I'm sorry?
Were you gonna say something?
No, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, so looking at the Eastern standings, Mike said himself he doesn't think the Sixers have a shot to get in the championship. Though it's kind of funny to see the Cavs, who are in 3rd place in the East right now, who are 6 games out of 1st place. The difference in people's opinions after they traded away like half their team. You have, right when it happened, you had tons of Cav fans who said it's over, the season's over, let's start looking to baseball and stuff like that. And then after they annihilated the Celtics a couple days ago, I'm hearing a bunch of people like, oh, Eastern Conference Championship, that's the Cavs, they got it, no problem.
Yeah, they're seeing a different team. Oh, after one game.
Yeah, I think I think the ones who are like, oh yeah, the Cavs have it now, are getting a little too hype off of one game. Especially.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Like taking a look at the Raptors, who are like quietly the number 1 team in the East, and the Celtics right behind them by a half a game. Like, no one's given the Raptors. I haven't heard anyone give the Raptors like a chance to win the East. I've heard Celtics. They've kind of, but I don't think anyone's even really taken them seriously. I think people have always been just Cavs. And then the Wizards are only a game and a half behind the Cavs, and the Bucks and Pacers are both 2 games behind the Cavs. Is the East primed to be won by someone other than the Cavs? Like, do you think other than the Cavs and maybe the Celtics, do you think another team has a shot And I know, and to add on to that, is there a move like should a team like the Wizards who are eyeing like um, Derrick Rose possibly and a couple other players, do you want to risk bad chemistry with a bad signing of a good player or possible good player to make that championship push now?
Well, it depends at the point guard spot for the Wizards because, I mean, I look at a guy like Ty Lawson that's been
Another
rumored
name
here in the last
mentioned.
couple of days going for the Wizards. I saw what Ty Lawson did. I think it was for Sacramento last year. He had to come in and start for an extended period of time, and he actually played really well. He's a great ball distributor. He shot good from the field. He didn't turn the ball over. He just kind of did his job. I mean, if you pick up somebody like that who's team-oriented and can, especially in the case of Ty Lawson, can come in. He's a veteran. He's been in all kinds of different NBA offenses. He'd be able to pick up Scott Brooks' offense quickly. I think that would be fine, but I'm not exactly sure about a Derrick Rose type who is, for the most part of his career, been a very offensive-minded player. And I think right now the way that the Wizards are playing, particularly with the guys that they have in there now, it's been more team-oriented. So I'd be more comfortable with a role player like a Ty Lawson to come in and kind of run the offense, maybe from a bench role, provide a little bit of scoring, spread the ball around, but not kind of mess up the team-oriented offense that we've been seeing the last few games, more so than like a Derrick Rose type.
Right.
Boy Federaci's been getting it done, and Ty Lawson's coming over from China, playing for Shandong or somebody over there, China Basketball Association. But I think that would be more about depth. So I don't know how much it would actually affect. Like, I don't think you have to worry about necessarily messing too much with the chemistry of the team, as long as he knows his role and doesn't have a problem with that. But Toronto, I think people sleep on just because they failed to get it done in the playoffs every year. I think Toronto's one of those teams where people have gotten the attitude of they're going to need to prove it, that they can do something in the playoffs before they're willing to just hand them or say that they're going to be the favorite coming out of the East. So, but they're playing really good. It seems like DeRozan's taking his game to another level. Valanciunas, Kyle Lowry out of Villanova getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I was surprised when I saw that Toronto is now leading the East. You know, it's all about your record. I mean, right now they're the best in the East. I mean, they've passed Boston and Cleveland, and you got the Wizards right behind Cleveland. But right now, Toronto is the best team. I mean, they're playing the best. They've had a good stretch here. They're 23-7 within the conference, and they have a 23-4 home record. And you can't say that about any of the other teams. Like even Boston right now has a 21-10 home record. I mean, Mike makes a good point. You know, let's see what happens in the playoffs, and let's see if they even get there as the 1 seed. But I'm pretty high on Toronto. I like their game.
Yeah, Toronto feels like they need to lock down that 1 seed. If they can get it, you know, Cleveland, as long as LeBron says he doesn't care about the 1 or 2 seed. He's just like, you know, as long as he gets in, I don't think LeBron cares about home court advantage. 8 straight years in the finals, so someone at some point is just going to have to step up and see if they can put an end to his reign in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, that's a good point that I didn't think about. They have an outstanding home record. That's going to be very important for them to kind of try to hang on to that 1 spot, more so than the other teams, I think, just because they're so strong at home.
Right. Well, the Raptors are down right now as we record this, 42-39 against the Miami Heat. But obviously it's only the second quarter, 5-some minutes left to go in the second quarter, so that can easily change. So they could get surpassed here by Celtics in the next day or two. we'll see.
Yeah, the Heat.
What was that?
The Heat could actually be an interesting team to watch because they got a lot of young guys that are very good. Now that they bring Dwayne Wade back, a lot of experience, he's back on the roster, and you might be able to get them all focused. It could be the Heat are kind of the team to keep an eye on.
Yeah, are they sitting like they're in the playoffs right now, right? Are
They're tied.
Sitting at the 8th seed right now.
Yeah, they're 9.5 back.
And you gotta remember, the first half of the season they didn't have Hassan Whiteside out there, but for a first couple games of the season, and then he was out for 3 or 4 weeks. Pretty lengthy stretch there. So.
Right.
Yeah, he's a beast. And you just need to stay away from the Twitter wars with Embiid. You don't want none of that. Besides that, he's a beast.
Now shoot, if the Heat can win that game tonight, they'll jump 76ers. I don't think 76ers are playing tonight. Let me double check that. Yeah, they're not playing until tomorrow, where they'll play the Heat. So the Heat could win tonight, jump the 76ers, be a 8.5 back, and then if they can beat the 76ers, get a nice little buffer from them and from the Pistons, who they're already three games ahead.
The Sixers on a roll right now, 4 straight. So they're going to see if they can keep it going.
4 straight after 6 straight losses.
They're only spotted the Super Bowl.
Pistons are interesting too, guys. It's going to be fun to watch them. They got they got the acquisitions from the trades, but they got Reggie Jackson coming back. He's a 15-point per game scorer.
Yeah, is he back yet? That could be interesting.
Yeah, they're thinking maybe early March. Last I heard, a couple more weeks after the All-Star break, I think.
We're time for Ish Smith to do work. Reggie Jackson. Yeah, Detroit could be interesting to watch. Drummond and Griffin, that would be 20 rebounds by themselves.
Well, looking at the standings, go ahead.
I was just going to say it could be 30 rebounds.
No.
Yeah, sure.
Well, looking at the standings, I would say it's a 9 teams really are in the playoff picture. The Hornets are excuse me, are 7 games back. So I find it hard to believe they could catch up to the 8th seed right now. Pistons are only 3 back, so they're really the 9th. So I would say the Eastern Conference playoff picture is starting to solidify pretty early.
Absolutely.
I
think Charlotte was like 10 games under 500 or something.
Yeah.
They got a pretty steep hill to climb, and they were looking to be sellers at the trade deadline. They were talking about moving Kemba Walker, and I don't think anything materialized. But I don't think they're particularly interested in, or I don't think they're particularly hopeful about doing anything this year.
Yeah.
I think it's not right. Detroit, Miami, Philadelphia, Indiana. It's going to be an interesting slugfest. Just over the last 3 or 4 seeds there.
Yeah. Really, it's like 8 seats for 9 people right now in the East. But speaking of the East, let's talk about the Cavs before we move on to the West or any other topic. How do you guys feel about them now? Do you think with their one?
I think they made a lot of the right moves. It sounds like things have gotten poisonous in the locker room there with some of the veterans, and then all people were saying D-Wade was an issue, and J.R. Smith was touting because how close D-Wade and LeBron were, and it seemed like it was that Jay Crowder. It seemed like he never got it going all year. I like what they did. They had to blow that thing up and get. But they got a lot of young guys now that look up to LeBron and seem like they want to impress LeBron every night. So they're working harder and trying to learn more from him. But I think they picked up some. It definitely became more athletic. I think they could play defend better on the perimeter and got some better outside shooting with George Hill.
Yeah,
And,
they got a rim defender playing the 4 now, Larry Nance. He's got like a 68-inch vertical.
Larry Nance Jr. playing for the team today. He's playing for.
Yeah. Yeah, Cleveland's interesting. I'm kind of like in a wait and see mode here. I think eventually Rodney Hood's going to take over the starting job from J.R. Smith. I think he had 15 points in 19 minutes, or 19 points in 15 minutes the other night in his Cleveland debut off the bench. I think the big thing is they're getting defenders on the perimeter. I mean, anytime you bring in like a Clarkson and like I said, Larry Nance, he can come off the bench and give you 24 minutes, or if you need him in the starting lineup, he can give you 30 minutes. Either way, he's going to be productive. But I'm kind of like in a wait-and-see mode with Cleveland. I think it depends on how they play defensively and how motivated they are to end strong.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about how LeBron sleeps a lot on defense and picks and chooses when he's going to turn it up, when he's going to play tries to save it for the playoffs or whatever. But I think the younger team is going to have him more motivated to try to lead by example. So I get the feeling you're going to see the best of LeBron here on the way out or during the season. But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch them next few weeks, see if they keep this momentum going.
Yeah, you know, something that we talked about on the last episode. We were discussing Cleveland and what they were going to do with this trade deadline approaching, and we kind of mentioned how incredibly difficult it was for Dan Gilbert to make these moves, not knowing if the greatest player of this generation is even going to be on the team next year. Like every year, it's like a one-year deal, no trade clause. We don't know if LeBron's coming back. Rumors of him going to Houston or Golden State or Philadelphia. But I think this series of trades that they made is advantageous both for this year and the future. So I really like that about the deals that they made.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. Plus, they didn't have to give up that Brooklyn pick. Yeah, they got a lot younger.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the big topic we were discussing. Like, if you're Dan Gilbert, how could you even contemplate trading that pick for something that's going to make you better this year, and you don't even know if LeBron's going to be on the team next year? So that's a big bonus that they held on to that.
Yeah, Nets are only 2 games out from being the worst team in the league right now.
Yeah, that could end up being huge for them because they're going to, especially if he rolls out, we'll see.
Which I think
would not be surprised if he leaves.
Yeah, I think most people think LeBron's gone after this year.
Well, they shocked the world.
Yeah, I mean,
me and Tommy have gone back and forth about where he might end up. Infuriating potential landing spots could end up.
I'm sure a lot of it has to do with how they finish this year. I mean, if they finish well, he could stay, and that draft pick is even more incentive for him to stay. You know, if they end up with the number 1 overall pick or something.
And you know who that's going to be, the kid from Duke. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's going to be an interesting test the next week for Cleveland. They have the Thunder in about a couple minutes. They have the Wizards Thursday. We'll see if they're a letdown kind of team because they'll have the Grizzlies on Friday. But then they have the Spurs on Sunday. So yet three big games this week, and then like a kind of one of those games you kind of just take for granted. So we'll see how they do in that one too. That could be very interesting, especially if they win these next two and then get beat by the Grizzlies.
That absolutely could happen.
Trap game.
Which could really spiral them down after that, because then, like, losing to the Grizzlies and then LeBron may go into hissy fit mode or something, and then they just downward spiral. Though after the Spurs, they have the Nets, 76ers, Nuggets, Pistons. Who isn't the best? Yeah.
Sixers is the loss. Sixers is the loss.
Oh,
Larry
yeah.
Nance Jr. is Embiid. That'll be interesting. But yeah,
Sorry?
I was just gonna say you gotta take the NBA like week by week. Anything can happen. Somebody will get injured on one of those teams you just mentioned. Jokic will be out or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Tyreek Evans could rip another knee ligament for the Memphis game. Who knows?
yeah, they could go out and get destroyed tonight by OKC. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, definitely give the NBA credit. The Eastern Conference is very entertaining right now. Not so much the Western Conference. That's kind of a two-team race, unless the Spurs or the Thunder or Timberwolves get hot in the playoffs.
I think it's more of a 14 weight race.
Is it? Warriors and Rockets are far ahead of the Spurs, Timberwolves, and everyone else right now. The Spurs would be the 3 seed if the playoffs were right now, and they're 9.5 back.
Yeah, the Spurs are interesting, but you can't really count where they are now because they haven't had Kawhi. The question is if they get Kawhi back and he can play a couple weeks before the playoffs get started, you definitely don't want to sleep on San Antonio.
True.
Especially since they were destroying the Warriors in Game 1 last year before we lose that Kawhi. But
They win.
OKC is pretty good. I like OKC too. When they're rolling.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, they'll win 8 in a row, and then they drop 5 in a row right after that.
Yeah, they're 5-5 in the last 10 games.
They're definitely streaky.
Can't figure them out, man.
It's probably a chemistry thing. They gotta figure themselves out. I think is the deal with them.
Now Houston is definitely for real. I think they're 2-1 versus Golden State this year.
That center they got is ridiculous. Clint Capella. He had like 25 boards the other night or something. He's really come on this year.
Yeah, Chris Paul's been tearing it up for me in fantasy. And Harden's unbelievable. 60-point triple-double a couple weeks ago. First time in league history. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and looking at the standings now, I would say it's probably a 10 teams playoff picture right now. The Lakers are in 11th place right now and they're 20 back from first place, but they're 5 games back from the 10th seed, and the 10th seed is about 2 games out of the playoffs. So I don't know about you, but I don't think the Lakers are looking good to.
Who's the 10th seed? Like the Clippers or
the Jazz?
The Jazz. Oh, so who's the 9th seed?
Clippers.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, the teams that are in the playoffs are the Pelicans and Nuggets and Trailblazers. They're the bottom 3 in the playoffs.
Well, the Pelicans are about to exit the discussion, I think.
Yeah, you think. They've won 2 straight, but especially with the loss of Boogie. I don't see them going too far.
And they were underperforming anyway.
Yeah, which point you guys to change because they're both starting to tear it up like those 2 weeks before you got hurt.
Yeah, they were.
What do you guys? I heard some talk lately about how the NBA should change the playoff format and does the East and West just take the top 16 teams overall and seed that way. There's been a lot of talk about that lately.
Well, if you did that, here's the questions I have. Do you still seed conference or division champions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? And do you take the top 8 from both sides, or do you just
No. It would be top 16 league wide.
So
they only have you know 5 teams come out of the East, and the rest would be out West.
Well, actually, right now it would be even 8-8 because the Heat have 30 wins, and the Pelicans and Nuggets, who are 7 and 8, have 30 wins. So
that is true. It's pretty even right now.
It's a tough call. I mean, you could have one team in the East who just beats up the rest of the Eastern Conference for the entire season because they're playing them so much more than they would the teams out West.
right.
So they end up with like a 2 seed or something, and then
Or a 1 seed.
Or a 1 seed. Well, I mean like an overall 2 seed, and then they get into the playoffs and they just get destroyed.
Yeah.
But
so like right now, if they did Golden State would be the 1, Houston would be the 2, and then Toronto would be the 3 seed.
Right.
And 4 seed would be Boston. And you come back to San Antonio, and San Antonio and Cleveland. That would be different.
Yeah, I think if you do that, you gotta still take the top 8 from both divisions, or both conferences, and then seed them according to record. But would you still have the top? Would you still have the top 6 seeds be division champions?
I don't know. They probably throw that out. Nobody seems to care much about NBA divisions anyway. There's only, it's like football. Seems like people care more about division championships, like hockey and basketball.
Yeah.
It was like, we won the Southeast Division Championship, son.
Well, really, the way the NBA has been the last few years, there are teams who probably should be happy with that. Like, that should be their goal. Let's do that, and then whatever happens in the playoffs is whatever. Because a lot of these teams have no shot at the championship. I mean, the East, there's a lot more teams this week than a couple weeks ago where you'd say, yeah, they could get in the championship. But, I mean, I don't think anyone thinks a team from the East is going to win the championship unless you live in Toronto or Cleveland or Boston or DC, etc.
Yeah, like right now Miami is the 8th seed, I think, in the Eastern Conference, but they're only 2 games behind the Wizards for the Southeast Division. That's how close the East is right now.
Right. Like in they'll shoot the Heat are only 3.5 out of the 3 seed, so they have a good month. A couple teams trip up in front of them. We could be talking about them being the 3rd seed and Cleveland being a 4 or 5.
See if D-Wade can put him on his back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, and this could make for interesting discussion next week and future weeks.
Yeah, the Heat are actually playing the Raptors right now.
Yeah.
Could be caught at 7 halftime. We'll see. They could knock off the Raptors tonight. Make a statement.
Yeah. Raptors with the lead, by the way.
Like The Heat have a lot of guards, don't they? What is D Wade's role on that team going to be? I mean, they traded. They didn't trade him.
I think I was a part of the three-team trade. Actually, I don't even see him on the.
Yeah, I think Wade.
10 minutes.
I think they just gave Wade up for a protected second-round pick.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember him coming back.
They still got Josh Richardson, Tyler Johnson. I don't know if they plan on starting him or bringing him off the bench.
But right now, him and Johnson both have 10 minutes in the first half. Gerard is starting to point. Yeah, Richardson at a small forward with Winslow. So they do have. I won't be surprised if I could see bringing him off the bench unless Johnson starts playing terrible and they just think they got to get him in there. And the thing that's hard to believe most is they still got Udonis Haslem on the bench. It's unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
He's on the bench. It says has not entered the game. I don't know how many years he's been in now, but he's a legend in South Beach.
I didn't realize that.
37 years old, averaging 0.6 points, 0.6 rebounds.
Get a fat check too. So he actually had statistics this year. I thought it might be a situation where like Keith Van Horn was like still in the NBA last year and he hasn't played in like 10 years. He keeps getting traded. He's just like an empty contract or something.
Yeah, he's playing 5.6 minutes a game.
Yeah, buddy.
And that crowd goes crazy every time he steps out there.
Yeah, I bet.
One of the all-time favorites.
All right, let's move things over to the Olympics while we still have time. How's your guys' experiences watching the Olympics so far?
Well, yeah, I was going to say we can go ahead and let Mike go for the evening if we're discussing international competition.
Well, we can do. I wanted to touch on UFC too. I know Mike is involved, follows UFC a bit, so maybe let's hit on that real quick. This past weekend, Yoel Romero. Dang it, I'm messing up his name. Anyway, he had a middleweight title fight scheduled and didn't make weight, but they still had the fight anyway, and he knocked out the champ. First off, I'm going to say I'm surprised Dana White let that fight happen. If I was him, if possible, I would have gone to whoever the highest ranked fighter in that weight class was, and like, hey, you want a title fight tonight or tomorrow night? And so I guess it was. I don't know if it was a thing where he thought the matchup was the sales point for that card, but I would think just having a title fight would have been bigger than making sure you saw Rockhold and Romero fight. Mike, did you catch that at all?
Did he knock out Rockhold?
Yeah, he knocked him out after not making weight, so he didn't get the title.
What you got to do now is you got to come right back with the rematch, and you better make weight.
Do you give him a rematch though? I mean, to me, if you don't make weight, that's a loss. Like, that's part of the game.
Technically, it's a win, the third round knockout.
Well, I mean, before the fight even happens. Because it's very unfair to Rockhold, who, I mean, the strain these guys put themselves through to make weight, and you can tell the ones who can do it very well and have trouble with it, because the next night some seem very tired and dehydrated or withdrawn.
Well, I guess some of the issue too. You got to remember this one was in Australia,
True.
so I don't know how easy it would have been to pull another middleweight down there to step in the octagon. But I would think, especially even if you're Luke Rockhold, you gotta set up a rematch. And what's his name? Better make weight.
Yoel Romero.
See that? Yoel Romero. People don't want to see that again, especially after the knockout. And then he's got to be kicking himself really more now than ever because he could have won the championship.
So,
epic knockout fashion.
So let's say they set up the rematch and Rockhold wins. Do we see a rubber match? I don't think we do, but do you think? Like, what do you guys think?
I guess it depends on the money. If the big numbers and the fans want to see it, that's what it comes down to. Romero got hurt. He hurt his leg.
During the fight or before the fight?
Yeah, in the first round.
Oh.
Hurt pretty bad. I don't know what happened, but he still won the fight. Was it in the third round?
Yeah.
But I heard hurt his leg pretty bad. Man, he's about to turn 41. That's crazy. He'll probably end up fighting that Whitaker guy. Didn't he lose to that Whitaker guy before? That's his Whitaker. But it's unanimous decision. He'll probably do that.
Well, to be fair, this is the interim middleweight title that Rockhold has. GSP, I believe, has the actual middleweight belt, but he pretty much gave it up. No, I don't think he. I think he won it and then pretty much was like, yeah, I don't want to fight anyone else. I just saw Bisping at the end of his career with the belt and was like, yeah, now's the time. And not to mention, I think he put. I'm trying to remember what happened in that fight. I want to say GSP poked. Dude, I just said his name. I can picture him. Who do you win the belt from?
Middleweight.
Yeah, the English guy. Bisping, yeah. I just said that name like 3 seconds ago. I already forgot. Yeah, I want to say he poked. Something happened in that fight where I thought it was unfair for Bisping. It was probably inadvertent, but I want to say he got poked in the eye, which definitely can mess up your ability to fight. And I wanted to see a rematch, but Bisping retired and GSP looks like he doesn't want to defend that belt.
I'm looking at the UFC 222 card now. See, we got a senior tour in the heavyweight division. Andre Arlovsky versus Stefan Struve on March 3rd. It almost feels like a fight must have dropped off the card and they had to come up with something. Arlovsky. Wow. You gotta be 50.
Yeah, Arlovsky was a big name back like in 05 and then kind of dropped off with Silva. Or Sylvia, sorry.
Yeah, Stefan Struve is only 29. That's better than it seems like he's been around forever. 7 foot tall. 264.
Yeah, people are still waiting for Struve to make that world title run.
He might end Arlovsky's career on March 3rd.
It's possible. Or he'll extend his career and get knocked out. Or lose in some way. But we got about 5. Sorry, what was that?
What's that?
What were you saying?
Don't forget you have the boxing rematch May 5th, Triple G, Canelo Alvarez 2.0.
Oh, when is that fight?
Show.
That's going to be rigged anyway. I think they said it's going to be anyway.
Yeah, the first one, that result was bullcrap.
We thought Triple G got it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All you have to do is ask Stephen A. Smith. He thought that the decision was an absolute atrocity.
Yeah, he was not impressed. And Max Kellerman, the boxing extraordinaire.
Yeah, he's the expert.
Okay, we got just under 5 minutes. Now let's oh wait, sorry. When was that fight again? The rematch?
Cinco de Mayo?
Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, nice. Perfect. I look forward to that. Okay, we have less than 4 minutes left in the show. Let's hit on the Olympics. Mike, you said you haven't watched any? You're still in Eagles bliss?
Still on that Eagles hangover, yeah, that's right. I'll let you guys talk, but I'll listen, maybe throw in a comment or two.
Alright. Tommy, how are you?
Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit. My favorite sport so far has been the inaugural event for this Olympics, the mixed doubles curling.
I actually have been watching some of that.
Absolutely drawn in and fascinated by it. And I probably need to get a life, but
no, I actually have been watching that too, because with the mixed doubles, the players are putting in more work because they have to throw their stone and then they got to get up and do the sweeping themselves. So there's a lot more.
But they don't have to. I wonder myself why they do that. I can see, like, when the guys do it because they want to have more power, sweeping. But they don't have to. Like, a lot of times the girl will throw and the girl will sweep for herself, and then the next time she'll throw and then the guy will sweep for her. And both of them can sweep at the same time too, actually. Like, if you really need a good sweep, both of them can get up there and sweep.
Hard.
Yeah. Hard. But I've enjoyed that. I really like the luge. I've been watching that. The American got the silver in the men's luge. That was cool. I think that's the first medal the Americans have ever gotten in men's luge in the Olympics ever. Yeah, I think that was fun to watch. And I'm happy that the alpine skiing is here now. I was watching a good bit of that on replay. And for anybody listening, if you get the NBC Sports app, you can pretty much watch any event that has occurred to this point. You can go back and watch it on replay. And of course, they also have live events. They also have live events streaming on there as well. So anything you could possibly want to watch, you can just go on the NBC Sports app and watch replays or live events. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's how I watch my Sixers game. I'll get caught up on all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
What?
And of course, the snowboarding is ridiculous too. I don't know. I think if I went down some of those hills one time, I'd probably tear my ACL and be in a wheelchair the rest of my life. I don't know how they do it.
Have they done that long jump stuff?
They have started that.
They did that pretty early on.
Okay, that's insane.
Yeah, the first day that I watched, which would have been the day after the ceremonies, I can't remember if I watched it live or on replay, but I was watching the ridiculous jumps.
Yeah, it's crazy how someone decides that they want to do that.
Well, yeah, I'll never forget. When you watch these Olympics, you got to keep in mind that these are very dangerous things. Like, people die every year doing these things. You know, like the long jump skiing and the damn alpine skiing where they're going 80 or 90 miles an hour down a ice-coated hill in between flags. The luge, you know, we had a guy in the Olympics, I think it was maybe 2000, I don't know what year it was, but there was a luger that died in competition at the Olympics, a Ukrainian guy. You know, bobsleds, they can flip over, and then you got the guys going down the hill at 70 miles an hour with their helmets dashing off the ice. I mean, you got to look at this with a lot of respect, what these athletes are able to do, particularly on ice. It's ridiculous.
I think I heard some of the long jump, they start out when they're like 5 or 6 years old. They got them going down.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of these countries have advantages. You know, like you see every year the Norwegians and the Finnish athletes and the Swiss. You know, they grow up at a very early age skiing because they have these huge, you know, ice-covered mountains in their backyard. But just today, and of course with the time difference, I don't know if it was yesterday or...
It's a 14-hour difference to the east coast.
Yeah, there was an American female luger who had a very serious crash. She, like, flipped off the sled and was tumbling down the luge course. Thankfully she was okay, but it was a very serious crash. So I'm glad she's okay. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, with those things in mind, I just kind of marvel at what these guys are able to do. They had a GoPro camera on some retired skier, and he took you down the Alpine course with the GoPro camera. He's a former bronze medalist from Switzerland that they had on the TV broadcast, and just looking at that GoPro of how fast they're going, and they're steering in between the flags, the gate. It's just unbelievable. 80, 90 miles an hour. Pretty fun to watch.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the bobsledding. I like that.
Did you make us qualify this year?
They have a female team this year. They don't have a men's team, I don't think.
That's right. Yeah, I did hear that.
But the women's Jamaican bobsled team's led actually by a American from Jersey whose father, I think, is from Jamaica.
They were talking about Usain Bolt could be like the anchor on the men's team. That would have been fun.
Yeah. But actually,
I think he'd be too tall. I honestly got a height.
That's a good question.
That is a good question. I don't know if he would fit in the sled.
Yeah.
I think he's 6'5".
6'4". He actually has his sights set on playing professional soccer. He had a tryout with a German team, Dortmund, something like that. I'd like to see him get signed. That'd be cool. Get the update on FIFA 18. See how good they make him. But that's our time for tonight. Like thank Tommy and Mike for joining us. Nice to have the whole crew back together.
Yeah, it was good. Good to talk over you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was fun.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see who comes back next week. Hopefully you'll come back next week. If you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, you'll know when the show airs live, and you can comment on the side there, unlike what no one did tonight. Go ahead and like this video, leave a comment, let us know what you want to hear. Any last parting words, guys?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
As long as you admit
Thanks
they
for
can't
listening.
fly on a road.
Down the road to victory.
That's not bad. I'll give you that one. All right. All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week, or you'll hear us next week. We won't really see you. Peace.
Sure, talk to you next week.